How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Now, last week, Fortnite released some Overwatch skins, so I thought it'd be cool if we do a comparison between the skins, the Overwatch skins from Fortnite, with the models from Overwatch itself. Now, there's a lot to look at. I did a poll the other day, and a lot of people wanted to see Tracer and D.Va, so those are the characters that we're going to focus on today. However, we're going to look more at the Fortnite models. If you're interested more in the Overwatch models, I already have a dissected video on Overwatch. And if you want to see more Overwatch content, I'll be happy to do so because that's one of my favorite games to look at. We can look at environments and all that stuff. We're also going to be addressing the big ass difference between these models. So make sure you watch all the way till the end. And let's get started. Alright, so we're going to start with the D.Va model, and right off the bat, can you even tell which one is which? Just write in the comment section down below. A lot of people in social media, when I was showcasing, I actually did it with the Tracer model. A lot of people got it right, which one was which, and this is the actual Overwatch model. This is the Fortnite one. The main difference, as a lot of you pointed out on Twitter, is the fact that the height. So the height seems to be, I'm not a big Fortnite player, so I'm not super into that game, but there seems to be like a high similarity in between all those characters. I'm sure that has to do with the rigging and how easy it is to just swap skeletons between all of them. Because this one does have the same skeletons as all the other characters, same facial expressions and all that. The other difference has to do with the eyes. You can see that this one's kind of squinting a little bit. All of the Overwatch models have this from the game. It seems like the Fortnite models don't have that. And the other part is the hair. You can see the difference between the hair texture here and the reflectivity, the way that each character treats reflectivity, specularity is a little bit different. Now, the other thing that's different is this thing that you see around here is the occlusion mesh. The occlusion mesh is something that I mentioned on social media if you follow me on Twitter. I mentioned it regarding Mass Effect Andromeda. There's going to be a Mass Effect Andromeda dissect video at some point. But this is the mesh that I think it's used to get that ambient occlusion around the eyes that gives you a little bit of a better look. Also, the mouth is a little bit more open on all of the Blizzard model, not just on the D.Va model. But aside from that, it's pretty much the same. There's some texture differences here and there just because of it's a different engine and the way that the engine treats specularity and all that. This is probably not how you're gonna see D.Va in Fortnite. I think she's a little bit more reflective than she should. The reason being is because the tools that I use to get Overwatch models out have their own particular shader already made for the Overwatch characters. So I'd say this is closer to reality than this. Now, that being said, let's look at the thing that has been talked about in social media so much, and we're also going to look at it with Tracer. And let me start with this. That was a lot of gaslighting, and I even fell for it myself. A lot of people were saying that the Fortnite model has so much butt, but now that you're seeing it right here, which one do you think has the bigger butt? In my opinion, I would say it's this one. Now, when you put them side by side, you would think that probably, let me get this one a little bit higher. This other D.Va, the Fortnite one, has a bigger posterior. But I don't think that's the case. I think it's a case of the character just being larger overall. So when you have a larger character, you just don't like stretch them upwards. You know, increase the size of everything. The hands on these models are bigger. The shoulders are bigger. The head is bigger. So therefore, the posterior is going to be bigger. I still think this one is the one that is not only, aside from this letter, I don't know what those letters are, but aside from that, I think this one is the more demarcated. One of the things that I would say though, is that when it comes to the Fortnite poses and emotes, they do have a lot of pelvis tilt. So the pelvis tilts backwards, kind of like what Widowmaker has. And that makes the butt a little bit more prominent. I know that because of the nature of Overwatch, and that's one of the things that we discussed in the dissected video, is the fact that Overwatch was made for a particular kind of audience and they cannot get away from that. So they're not going to have those provocative poses that you see in Fortnite. So in that regards, yes, I will give Fortnite the props for having the sexier pose. But overall, in my opinion, I think these characters are the same. What do you think after you've seen the models? Do you think it's true what they've been saying on social media? Let me know in the comment sections down below. Now, when it comes to triangle count, you can see it right here. I selected this is the Overwatch model, is 35,000 triangles, whereas the Fortnite one is 37. So almost the same. In my opinion, I think Fortnite and Overwatch styles are not that far off. And you're going to see it when we go into the UVs and the textures. They have a lot of similarities in there, not because these are Overwatch characters, but the Fortnite pipeline is very similar when it comes to how they treat their models. Now we'll look at the wireframe. Again, pretty much the same, almost one-to-one, aside from the size of the model. You can see how dense D.Va is in the face because they do emote a lot. And you can see this D.Va is also very, very dense when it comes to this part. One of the things that is a bit, let's say, uncanny for me, and we're going to see it more prominent with the Tracer model, is the waist. You can see that the waist part on this model, I don't know if it's just me, but I think that the ratio of like belly to waist is much smaller than it is here. It feels like this part of the torso for some reason is larger on the character. Maybe it has to do with the fact that the character is taller, but it's something that's very odd to me to see this character, you know, this part be a little bit larger. So let's go to the textures. All right, so here are the UVs and the textures for the Overwatch characters, and I'm gonna do another self-promotion. You can see how rectified these UVs are. I have a video on the channel on how to create UVs like this, that the UVs are pretty much rectified. For those of you who told me that my UVs were outdated and nobody's doing that anymore, well, here it is, Overwatch character. And this is something that, this is the part that I have trouble with when it comes to the hands. Doing this, when you have to do the palm of the hand and the back of the hand together like this, I struggle quite a bit to do this one the same as the one that they do in Overwatch. So that's why in my video I actually have these two split, but it's very, very close to what I did with the UVs for my character. So if you want to check that out, it's a video actually before this one. Now let's look at the Fortnite one. Now the Fortnite one doesn't have the face in the same UV sheet, but one of the things that is very particular is they also have rectified UVs. And I've seen other Fortnite characters. This is not only for the Overwatch skins. This is true for all the Fortnite characters. All of their UVs are rectified this way. And as you can see, they want to get the more rectangular fashion. However, there is a lot more stuff in this UV sheet, if you want to call it that way. You can see that they have both legs in here, like there's this leg and then there's this leg, whereas you can see that the Overwatch model only has one leg on the UVs. The other leg is actually on top of the other UV sheet. So if we select this leg, you can see that it's right here. We select this other leg, is the same thing. I selected a little bit more, but they have overlapping UVs, kind of like what I did on my UV unwrapping video demonstration. The other difference when it comes to the UVs of this is that we don't have the rectangular part, and that's to do with how Unreal Engine process bitmaps. As far as I know, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comment sections down below, Unreal does bitmaps only when it's a square textures, and if you have other type of resolution that isn't squared, then it doesn't do bitmaps. Bitmaps are the LODs, level of details, when it comes to textures, so you can access lower resolution when the character is much far away to save on resources. Now let's take a look at Tracer. All right, here she is, and again, let's just get it out of the way. I think it's the same deal. I think this, but it looks bigger than this one. And I think it's just a little bit of gaslighting combined with the fact that Fortnite does have the more sexy poses, but as you can see, I think this one, let me know which one you like in the comment sections down below. I think, sorry, this conversation is too silly. However, here is the part where I was referring to when it comes to like the midsection, that to me, it's a little bit weird. You can see how the midsection is composed right here. And you can see that it looks like if they stretched out the midsection on this character model, it's to me, it's really odd. The way that it looks is very uncanny. Maybe because I'm used to seeing this, but I think there's a little bit of a kind of like stretching the model. You can even see how this part of her clothing or armor, it looks kind of like more prominent here in this model than here. So yeah, let me know what you think about this. Do you think it's weird, or is it, you know, it's just part for the course? One of the things is there is a difference in saturation when it comes to the texture. So outside of the hair, you can see that the hair on Tracer, it's a little bit darker than the hair in this one. It has to do with the saturation. But when it comes to like the jacket, I think the jacket on Tracer, Overwatch Tracer, has a little bit more contrast. Other than that, they're 1-to-1, same model. And here it is. As I mentioned before, these UVs are in a different shade because it's not one way or the other. It depends on what your game engine, and usually it just depends on what your art director wants from you or your lead designer. You can see that the teeth and the eyes are here. From the character that I did, he didn't have any teeth or eyes, so they're not in the UV shade at all. But you can see those right here, and you can see that I think these are the eye sockets and the mouth back and all that and everything. In spite of being the face, it is also rectified, and it has a little bit of a different unwrapping than I did. Instead of doing the cut in the middle like I did right here, they did the cut sideways, which is, I think, a cool way to get this very square texture. You can see that it ends up squaring out over here. There's quite a bit of space down here, so I don't know if I'm missing something. It's not that this space is leaf blank, it's just that I didn't grab the neck. So if we keep grabbing the rest of the neck, then it should encompass all this. And one thing about both the Fortnite and the Overwatch textures is that they are hand painted-ish because they use the PBR workflow. A lot of people say if you use the PBR workflow, then it's not a hand painted asset. I disagree, but you can see that in here, in this texture, you can see that there is a little bit of like highlights and all that. Maybe not as much as I would have added, but the models for Fortnite are also very hand painted-ish, plus the PBR, same as the Overwatch models. And that's why I say the workflow for these two models are very similar. It's not the same, but there's a lot of similarities between these two. So let me know, what do you think about these models? Which one do you prefer? Do you prefer the Overwatch? Do you prefer the Fortnite skins? What do you think about those attributes that we spoke of? What other things would you like to see on the channel? Do you like to see more Fortnite, or would you like to see another Overwatch dissected video? Let me know in the comment sections down below. Also, let me know what other tutorials would you like me to do. On the unwrap video, there are several people asking for a texturing tutorial. Let me know if you're interested in that. In this video, if I see a lot of interest, I will make a texturing tutorial for y'all. I was honestly very surprised at how well the UV unwrapping video did. I know there were some people that were interested in that. I just didn't know there was that much interest in that kind of video. So let me know what else you want to see on the channel. Thank you so much for watching all the way to this point. Subscribe, like, comment, and all that so the YouTube algorithm doesn't forget about me. And I'll see you in the next one.